What a wild ride these last 24 hours and change has been, huh? Very low key, chat driven stream today. Chat driven, emphasis on that part because we had another hiccup yesterday that I apologize for. Missed a super chat, and we had some folks acting ignorant in the chat box as well. We were a little bit too locked in the in the tunnel vision in the zone on this stuff to even notice it. But failing forward, ever forward, right? I just want to. I don't have anything, like I said, chat driven stream. I don't have anything new to present today. There's so much information to sift through. There's so much trade chatter. There's so many sources, questionable or legitimate. We've got new teams potentially entering the mix. We've got all kinds of stuff. The Cowboys potentially pivoting over to trade Hendrickson, which they should have already done anyways. They should have always planned to do anyways. There's lots to talk about, but I see, yeah, kids in bed, El Boogie preaching. You know the deal. You already know the deal. Angie's back. What's up, Angie? He says hello. Anxious times, Lando. Absolutely. That's another reason why I'm here because last night, we went so late, 2.5 hour live stream. Shout out to y'all, by the way.
Yeah,
for showing up in such a big way. That was seriously the most successful show that I've ever been a part of, and y'all helped do that. Even despite me ignoring some of the things, not purposefully, of course, that were happening in the chat box over there on the side. But that's just how impactful of a discussion, how locked in we all were on breaking this down at a micro level, literally unpacking all the money, giving all kinds of different details, having people even call us out saying, this dude don't know what he's talking about. He can't talk about the cap. He won't do it. So, okay, naturally, what did we do? We talked about it for 40. I gave him 45 minutes of it. And there's lots of things to sift through. We went so late last night. Most productive, most passionate, most engaging, most populated live show in Lando show history. And we didn't get to bed until about 2:30 a.m. as a result of it. And so tonight I had all day long. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just chat people up on Twitter, which is what I did today. I spent all day just engaging with the community and members of this community and otherwise, and just talking it through, man, because there's differing perspectives, there's polarizing takes, and there's a ton of passion, all that's lumped in the middle of all of that, right? So I anxious times is correct. That's why I'm here. And so that's why I just wanted to come in, have a casual catch up and round up with you guys just to kind of talk some of this stuff through, try to make sense of it, of course, like the thumbnail says, and see if we can't all find common ground if we don't have it already, So Lando, you was too nice, but I respect it. Yeah, it's just, that's who I am. I people have been calling me out today left and right. So there's like 3 or 4 different people that got aggressive with me. One of which very recently, a very prominent individual with a 6-figure following that I didn't expect. But people, there's once again lots of passion involved. Okay, it's never any hard feelings from me. I got a beautiful, faithful wife that loves me. I got 3 beautiful children, and I get to talk about football for a living. What do I have to be mad at? Life's too short to spend it wasting time getting mad over something that a stranger who has no idea who you are on any social media platform says about you. Anyway. Swain said I'd be around like bad ideas. I'm in the background chilling, collecting my thoughts. And that's admirable, actually. You hear that term, the quietest man in the room is often the most intelligent. There's a reason for that. Yeah, I did. I had to I definitely had to repeat myself more times than I would have liked to. But I guess I want to come in here. Back sell boogie. That's funny. I want to come in here and kind of go through some of the various different engagements that I had on Twitter today. I was saving a few of those talking points, some of the best and most notable talking points that I wanted to bring to you guys. I plan on doing this tomorrow, but we'll do it tonight a little bit and just hang out. All right. So the first thing I want to touch on is something that I learned, which is the frozen draft pick. And I'm still a little bit unsure if it can be traded. My gut instinct when I responded to the question earlier today, my gut said that you sort of predetermine that in the negotiation process. It's like a caveat attached to the agreement, right? It's just legal jargon that you submit and add into the text, to the contract, to the agreement, to the trade that you submit over to the NFL league office, and it's just like understood. But then there's other people that are saying different things. I think Ari Merov, who is a relative. Let me pull his up. I guess he's a relatively trusted source. I don't know. I don't want to go so far as to say anything overly passionate or positive for or against him, because I honestly am rather unfamiliar with his work, but I see him pop up from time to time. Let's go Ari Merov. Yeah, let's just pull him up right here. I mean, he's got almost 1 million followers, so he clearly doing something right. Let's see. And I thought this was interesting. So y'all correct me if I'm wrong too, but while we're scrolling through this right quick, the Bears releasing Tremaine Edmonds and DJ Moore, or excuse me, trading DJ Moore and releasing Tremaine Edmonds was a beaming beacon, a red light of, all right, we couldn't come to an agreement with the Raiders for Maxx Crosby. We're going to just start creating cap and acquiring compensation in other ways, right? Adding capital and clearing cap in different ways. And I think that's just something that came to mind. This Daniil Hunter thing is very interesting as well. That most certainly complicates the Cowboys' willingness to enter into negotiation, like just a bidding war, right? And that's the thing that we've been kind of detailing, is like the difference between Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson. Comparable players. Trey technically the more decorated sack getter, right? More frequently puts the quarterback on his back. But Maxx Crosby is also in the same discussion, right? In the same sentence, double teamed at a higher rate. Okay, but so let's just say like they're very similar pass rushers, but Max is the superior, and it's by a significant margin. Run defender, even over Micah Parsons as well. We had that discussion yesterday too. We kind of contextualized a lot of that stuff, but I'm a bit surprised with the overwhelming majority of Cowboys fans who respond to me whenever I pose the question, as they did yesterday, as I've done all day today, and as I'll continue to do right now. Max for 12 and 20, is it worth it? Like if y'all, I'll pull up. Let me just show you guys so you feel me and understand. Where are we at here? Let me go. Still not in flow state quite yet, but we're working our way towards it. Like I said, very sleep deprived and very tired. Hopefully y'all can see this. Okay, so here's the question I was referring to a minute ago. Not gonna lie, I learned something today, where Ari Merov says the Cowboys' decision to send the higher of the two 2027 first-round picks to the Jets for Quinn Williams has created a freeze on both selections. Neither can be used or dealt until the end of the 2026 season. I feel like that's not true, but I trust Ari. I mean, I don't have any reason not to trust him or to trust him, I guess, but you got chat, help me out here. What is the truth? can you add the caveat and say, hey, predetermined agreement, like you'll get the higher of the two if that's what you want? Or, the Cowboys, they may lobby for the opposite, obviously, but can that be is that pick actually frozen? That's what I want to know. Somebody tell me. But that 40 million fully guaranteed extension for Danielle Hunter complicates things because fully guaranteed money is something that's the most important thing that we unpacked yesterday to pay attention to. The APY is irrelevant relative to the total guarantees. Okay. That complicates what was already going to be a complicated negotiation, a bidding war per se, with any of the top free agent edges that you may feel like is worthy of Cowboy consideration. Guy today claiming to have sources behind a it was a concealed identity Twitter account who claims to have sources trying to sun me and check me. And I directly said it to him. I was like, I don't understand why you're mad at me, but you're claiming to have sources. And you're very clearly wrong. He mentioned, so needless to say, I humored him in that discussion. And usually if I see any sort of, slander or anything derogatory, I'm just like, ain't worth my time. Keep moving, keep it moving. But this guy is a repeat offender in my mentions. And so I was like, you know what? This dude's always trying to stir something up. Let me have some fun for a second. Right. And he mentioned something to the tune of Maxx Crosby is not free because you have to trade for him. Trey Hendrickson is free. And he questioned my direct quote in one of the responses where I said extension negotiation. And he laughed at that and, made references towards my naivety with these things, but to which I quickly and promptly responded with more nuanced discussion about it. It's like, look, there's nothing free about any of these free agent or trade targets that we're talking about here, right? And there's nothing easy about signing a free agent in tier 1 to a really significant contract extension. As a matter of fact, that's why Trey Hendrickson is even on the trading or on the open market today to begin with, because the Eagles couldn't come to terms on an agreement with him. It's not easy. I'm not going to get worked up over that, but clearly I'm passionate about it. And so just bringing it to light, like this stuff is real. It exists. It's not easy, and you can be outbid very easily. You can enter yourself into a bidding war and pay more than you otherwise should or want to. Right? So there's nothing easy or free or cheap about signing Trey Hendrickson. I just want to make sure that's understood within this conversation. But now it's even more difficult because you're going to have more players start to look for more guarantees. No long-term deal is going to ever be fully guaranteed unless you're a quarterback, and even those are all, almost impossible to come by because the most significant one, Deshaun Watson, didn't work out well, obviously. Kirk Cousins was actually the first one to do it a few years back, and that one kind of panned out, but even still, it's kind of an unheard of deal in the negotiation process. And so now the already difficult free agent tier 1 extension negotiation and or bidding war just got a little bit more difficult because of this deal. Let me refer back to the chat to make sure. Suave, I see your $5 super chat. I will not miss one tonight. I'll tell you that right now. I appreciate you very much. Would Trey, he says, good evening. Good evening indeed, my friend. Hopefully it'll be a good morning and when some news drops. I think, let me switch these. Y'all don't need to see that so big. Would Trey cost more? So what do you mean, Angie? I want to help you, or I want to make sure I understand your question accordingly before I respond. It costs more in terms of like the APYs, right? Or is that what I'm assuming that's what you're mentioning as far as what's the guaranteed money involved with Trey relative to Max, I assume is what you're asking. But that's the thing is we technically don't really know. You know, Trey's going to go for, I guess, we can pull up Slow Track's projection for his market, but it's going to be somewhere in the $30 million range, right? APY, of course. Slow Track. Get what they said his projection was. So I'm just going to clarify. I don't want to be wrong. Okay, so they've got his market value calculated at $25.4 million. Let me see what the franchise tag for Edge is this year. Again, let me refresh my memory on that. Franchise tag values by position. Okay, so the 2026 franchise and transition tenders, Edge, where's Edge? Okay, so that's about right. Okay, the average of the top 5 highest paid edges in football right now comes out to, and this is just a ballpark projection, I think. It might be, I guess it's official by now. But yeah, $24.4 million is what overthecap.com says is the franchise tag value. So that makes sense. Trey Hendrickson, you know, right there. Average of the top 5 highest paid edges, boom, $25 million market. That technically, if you look at Maxx Crosby's situation, is cheaper on an APY basis. But once again, it's the total guarantees that we got to focus on. So the answer to your question, Angie, is it's a little bit unknown at this current juncture. AJ Strohs, I see you, man. $5 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. Yeah. And one more for my guy Suave. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Yeah. So great point, Big Business. You were one of the ones that reached out behind the scenes, correct? Yesterday. I'm pretty sure you were. I recognize the name. And thank you for your words, assuming that was you, because I appreciated what you had to say, and that mattered a lot to me. Okay, but great point. So what I was going to say is this is the exact same discussion with Puka Nacua that we touched on yesterday and a few days back prior to that, and how his alleged extension from the report that was first surfaced from ML Football, take it or leave it, him as a reliable source. Once again, grain of salt with this stuff, guys. Okay. But just because that's what the extension is worth doesn't mean that's what the total contract value is, right? You have to factor it in. So let me go and make sure, because Danielle Hunter still had years left on his contract, correct? He was not a free agent, obviously. Danielle Hunter, track. Okay, so yeah, he was under. Wait. No, he signed a 1-year deal. Okay, yeah, so he did have 1 year left on his deal then. 26 to 2027 extension current. So he signed. They've already got it updated. Danielle Hunter signed a 1-year, $40 million contract, fully guaranteed with the Houston Texans, including a $30 million signing bonus. That's instant directly into his bank, by the way. It's exactly what it sounds. In other words, all of it's guaranteed. An average annual salary of 40.1 in 2026. Hunter will earn a base salary of 22.6 while carrying a cap hit of $31 million. So he was out of guarantees, but he still had 1 year left on his deal. So they're projecting his cap hit to be 31 million, and then the remainder of that 8 and change, 31.3, and then so the 8.2 that's left over from the fully guaranteed contract extension that he just signed. Will be accounted for in the 2027 calendar. Here's kind of the breakdown of what Spot Track is saying about that. You guys want to see it real quick? I just pulled it up on the screen for you to give it a little peek. But yeah, so I'm not seeing. Let me check over the cap and see if they have a different figure. They've got his cap number in 2026 at 16.1 million, and then 45 next year. That makes more sense. This to me is the most accurate projection right now, because when you do moves like that, you're usually never going to incur and take on the largest, like the vast majority of that hit from those guarantees in year one. It's usually deferred, like it was with Dak and with CD and with Tyler Smith, and like it usually is for most players, right? This is right here. This is a more accurate, and this is what Big Business was referring to, because they actually here have the voided years listed. So what that does for you, once again, this is why we always talk about. This is why the money is not a factor, guys. Okay, that's what all of yesterday's show was dedicated to. It was just kind of unpacking the financials with these contracts, with the Cowboys cap situation, and with prospective trade candidate or free agent asset. Voided years give you immense flexibility. It's modern team building, and it's simple accounting where you just press, like we knew the analogy yesterday. I walked over there and turned the switch on. It's literally that simple. Restructures have no bearing financially as far as the total guarantees for the player. They have no bearing or impact on the player's bank account over the life of the contract. It is a simple cap maneuver. It is a simple accounting principle where you're just moving some numbers around. And yes, you are deferring money into the future. And yes, you always have to account for it. But the ever increasing value of the NFL dollar, the ever ballooning salary cap, more than makes up for the minute percentages that you're deferring into the future. Like relative to, that's a lot of word salad. I'm sorry, yo. That's how I am sometimes. When you're deferring, say, $20 million or $30 million of that new guaranteed money that Danielle Hunter just signed an extension for into the future, that $30 million that you're going to have to account for at some point pales in comparison to the projected $80 million jump that the salary cap year over year is going to make when that new TV money comes in. Okay, that's sort of the gist behind this. The teams that have the pieces in place in their minds to really go and contend for a Super Bowl, they're the ones that are aggressively pursuing and aggressively maneuvering their cap situation for players that can make a difference for them. Okay, the money is not a problem. That's all you have to know. And it's in layman's terms and in simplest terms, the money is not a factor. Zach Lee from Double Move, who does fantastic work. He's been killing the draft stuff with Foots the King. Zach Lee is his name, but Double Move on YouTube, killing it. We had that discussion, and that was one of the things that was kind of my reference point was, if the money is seen as the biggest problem, then there is no problem for the Maxx Crosby sweepstakes or for the Trey Hendrickson sweepstakes or whatever. Okay. All right. Back to the chat. Let me check in on y'all, make sure we're doing okay. What's up, Lando from Don the Prophet? Trey is injury prone, and I think Mac has a better return on investment. Love your work, East Coast. Shout out to you, man. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Big Business is confirming. I see you. Yeah. 3 voided years, since we just unpacked that. And just to add a little extra piece, a bullet point onto Don the Prophet is, to me, Max, like simply put, is the better player than Trey. Injury aside, he's a bigger problem for opponents than Trey Hendrickson is, especially with the understanding of the way that the league is trending, as forecasted by myself and Voch Lombardi about 8 or 9 months ago when we first did our the outdated value of the left tackle position. Clayton Adams recently confirmed that, and we've seen teams all over the place begin to build and restructure their offenses and their schematic preferences as a result of this fact, this trend where offenses are getting big and heavy and strong and condensed formation and power football again. They're getting bigger and stronger to counter the modern hybrid overly athletic and defensive back laden defense with 4-4 linebackers like Sonny Styles all over the place now and a bunch of spot drop edge players that are Clayton Adams, once again, a reference from him, his direct verbiage that he used, aliens on the edge. Okay, you counter that with some pop, north and south, and that's what's happening. And Maxx is the better player dealing with the pop, north and south. That's the point. Yeah, Swain confirming. I appreciate you doing so. He wasn't a free agent. That's correct, and I appreciate that. 40 mil guarantee is crazy, guys. Like, just for context, 1 year, 40 million fully guaranteed on that extension figure. That's the same amount of almost the same amount of guarantees as Deron Bland's 4-year contract extension. Deron Bland only had 49 million guaranteed on his deal. And he's another way that the Cowboys can create money if they feel good about his health long term. Just so we all know, just so we're all clear. I'm gonna get a 30-second break, restroom run real quick, and then I'll be right back. Y'all hang tight with me. Actually, you know what? Let's. Almost made it back in time before the song cut off. It was a valiant effort. Okay. You think we're trading back and gathering more picks? Curious why you think that, Blue. Let's get back to this tab right here. Got more talking points for y'all real quick. Just touch and go. The billion-dollar question. Is Maxx Crosby really worth the Cowboys picks 12 and 20? If you haven't seen this yet, here's my logic behind, again, my stance on 12 and 20 and why I would personally do it. I know it's, and let me caveat that, because I know that's like I said, I'm surprised with the amount of people that are just instantly a no. Have you truly studied Maxx Crosby's game? Honest, genuine question. I'm not trying to indict or insinuate or assume that anybody hasn't done their homework. That's never what I'm trying to do. I'm not ever trying to bully somebody. That's just my interaction with Bob Sturm. Somebody was like, dang, I've never seen Bob Sturm get bullied so hard. Like, Bob and I have many interactions and we engage in each other's threads and work because we respect each other. And so we're just trying to find common ground, and it's okay if you're doing so while seeing things from the other side of the fence. That's how you learn. That's how you get better. And that's why I do what I do. That's why I have conversations with Boss Cowboy. That's why you guys are going to be blessed with, I'm going to be blessed with, I think we're all going to be blessed by Gavin Dawson, who I teased yesterday has a vastly different outlook on the happenings up until this point. Now, I did hear a segment from him on with Trey Wingo, or maybe it was just before Trey Wingo came on. So I don't know. I saw it, stumbled upon it on Twitter, and he indicated with his words that he may be seeing some of the things that I was seeing before yesterday's events happened. So our discussion behind the scenes happened a couple of days ago. He has agreed to come on the show and break down his angle and my angle, basically using our entire conversation behind the scenes that we had. A really fun one, by the way, and a very passionate one. And It's nuanced. And so obviously I wouldn't bring somebody on if I didn't think that it would be a productive but also highly entertaining discussion. And so I'm excited to do that with Gavin. I'm not sure when that's going to be. The weekends get crazy for me, you guys know. And by the time I actually have a moment to get it done, maybe it might be too late because the dust will have already settled on some of this stuff, and one of us will be proven correct. I'm still confident that it's me, but once again, I've been wrong before many times. Micah Parsons was the most recent and most notable one, where I sat here and bluntly told y'all that dude ain't going nowhere. He ain't getting traded. You kidding me? Players like that, in the prime of his career, this team, the way Jerry values jersey sales and fan favorites and catering to his guys, right? We like our guys, you know. But that very deal right there, even as wrong as I was about the outcome of it, was a sign of difference, a sign of a changed outlook, a sign of a new approach, a sign of Brian Schottenheimer helping facilitate an inside outing their recent historical order of operations. We began tracking everything, and it was actually, it predated that, but that was at that time the latest, the cherry on top of the already mountain of evidence suggesting as much. Okay, now here we go. This is what a better way to contextualize why I'm so passionate for 12 and 20. And let me just once again make it clear. I'm passionate about not definitively saying that 12 and 20 for Maxx is not worth it. I'm not passionate about lobbying for doing it because I do think that's an overpay, and I don't think that that's what Maxx is going to ultimately cost. I think the Raiders are bluffing, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. I probably should have titled the video that. The Raiders are bluffing. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll change it at the end. But for every Micah Parsons and Tyler Booker at 12, there's a Taco Charlton and a Mozzie Smith in the back end of round one or in the middle of round one waiting for you. Okay, that's sort of the synopsis, but here's a little bit of that discussion. Maxx Crosby for pick 12 and pick 20. I understand why that's scary. That's a popular topic right now, and it's a very polarizing discussion. But here, I just want to recontextualize it a different way to make it a little bit more palatable. Okay, the reason why I'm so strong against the notion that both ones aren't worth it, and it's not that I think it will be the case. As a matter of fact, we can confirm through tea leaves, breadcrumbs, and maybe a source here or there that giving up 2 ones is actually the ultimate hesitation. The Cowboys have the most enticing package. 12 and 20 is the best offer that the Raiders are after, but the Cowboys, as of this point, are unwilling to commit that far. But walk with me here for just a couple more seconds. When we discuss 12 and 20, not worth it. Why I can't get there and definitively state that it's not worth it is because we can't definitively know what those 2 picks are going to become. So think about it this way, all right? If picks 12 and 20 become Taco Charlton and Mozzie Smith, then you absolutely do that deal every single day and twice on Sundays if you're the Dallas Cowboys. On the other hand, if picks 12 and 20 become Tyler Booker and Micah Parsons, both taken with the 12th overall pick, ironically, then it's a much different discussion, and it's not worth it. All right, but to me, definitively stating that 2 for Maxx, even though it's not come to that yet, the Raiders, as of let's cut that because the chat box is popping, and Angie has a great point that I was going to get to as well. It's on the agenda, and I have another super chat from my guy Suave, who's just here hanging out, having a good time, enjoying himself, like he said. Good evening. And supporting what we do here. And by the way, I'm Lando from the Lando Show. I didn't mention that at the top. I definitely should have. With the sports below the surface truth, the objective of this platform, as always, is to creatively convey the truth that fans like us deserve, but are so often it eludes us. It escapes us because of national mainstream media driven narratives that get spun by people who can't possibly know a lot about the little things because they're tasked with their job. Their literal job is to know a little bit about a lot. They can't possibly know a lot about the little things. But that's where outlets like this, platforms like this, communities like this come in to play. Enter the discussion is to bridge the gap between fans who deserve the truth and mainstream media who can very easily, whether they intend to or not, spread mass misinformation. Right, the Lando show. That's exactly that's what that's about to the T. The sports below the surface truth for the true fan. Soon to be 8,000. We're trying to get to 8K. We're making that push right now. The goal is 10K before draft day. I think we can do that. And 95,000 across all social media platforms. You guys just keep showing up in a huge way, and I'm really excited about the direction that we're headed. But Angie's point, where was it? Why do people keep saying you're only going to get Crosby and nobody else? Thank you, Angie. There's a few different tweets that I have saved in there from just my interactions today that allude to exactly what you're trying to say there, exactly what you are saying there. And that's my thing is, why are we sitting here? I don't understand where that is coming from. The Cowboys are more than one player away. So making the deal for Maxx Crosby doesn't make sense. Okay, so stop for a second. When you're saying that, think about what you're saying. Think about the discussion that we just had. We don't know what picks 12 and 20 are going to be. 8-9 months down the line, we'll have more clarity on who they became or who they are becoming. And we can sort of start to make those declarations. But if your stance against trading for Maxx, even if it does cost 2, which it should not, I don't think it will. His injury plus his age is a factor, must be considered relative to the Micah compensation. No question about it. It shouldn't cost 2 ones. Once again, I think the Raiders are bluffing. I said that to Trey Wingo directly earlier today. And that's coming. But if we say we're out on Maxx because you're not one player away, then why use a draft pick anyway? What's the point of having a draft pick? We don't need that draft pick because we're more than that pick away. We're more than that one player away. What's the point? Why? And you'll say, well, Lando, there's 2. Yes, 2 massive prospect project question marks that we have no idea what they're going to become. You cannot declare today, right now, that those 2 picks are not worth Maxx Crosby. That is invalid because we don't know yet. There's not enough information, incomplete, error, malfunction. Computer just crashed. We don't know. AI doesn't know. You can't ask ChatGPT to tell you what the Cowboys should do because it doesn't know. We're rapping a little bit. If Maxx Crosby won't be enough, then the additional second-round pick that you're lobbying so hard against trading, that means nothing. From that argument, the Cowboys are more than one player away argument, then that additional draft pick means nothing, right? Screw it. Give it up. Go get the proven player then. What are we talking about? Nobody in their right mind can sit here and say that 2 prospect projects, pick 12 and 20 overall, will be more impactful anytime soon, remotely as impactful as a proven perennial All-Pro. Can't do it. You can't make that declaration. It's not possible. I think that's where Bob got frustrated with me because he asked me a direct question and I clarified my stance on where my take. because he said the average rookie. The average rookie, this is not an average rookie. He's talking about, he said picks 12 and 20. Those are day one starters right away. True, in theory, yes, they are day one starters. But the reality is the bust rate at first round draft picks in general. That's what I meant to say. I said the average rookie. I should have said the average first round draft pick. That's, so once again, minute details there where I guess there's just a little bit of confusion, and that's partially my fault. So I'll take responsibility for it. We don't know what 12 and 20 are going to end up being. There was another one in here. Stephen Mark said, Max ain't leaving, guys. Sorry. I beg to differ. And I'm not even going to, I won't even try to convince you that it's the Cowboys. I'll just tell you he's going somewhere. And it may not be, there's a chance that it's not this week. There's a chance that it's not before the draft. But at some point, and I'm 99% confident for so many different reasons that I don't know if we have time to get into, that he's out of there. Darren Fontenot with the $4.99 super chat. Once again, man, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you, Darren. Good, bad. Pick 20 plus Pickens. No. I see Pickens, I'm out. No. Small step. No, I'm not. I'm not messing with the goal that the Cowboys just struck. They're not messing with the goal that they just struck. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for the question. It's a thought-provoking question. So he says, good or bad? Pick 20 and George Pickens. So Pickens and pick 20. Or Max. Go get Alec Pierce in free agency. Small step down for the offense. Huge step up for the defense. Have more money for other needs from saved money at wide receiver. No. And so the reason why is because I'm not ever willingly getting worse if I can help it. I'm not creating an extra hole to have to go and enter another lucrative and bidding war contract extension with a free agent. I'm not doing it. That's more responsibility. That's part of the willingness for the Cowboys. 5 trades last year. Very clearly one of the top dogs, the top dog. They have the most significant compensation that makes the most sense to pair picks 12 and 20 with their first overall reset button, that is Fernando Mendoza. Cost control, as Bob initially stated, that was the genesis of our discussion and our engagement earlier tonight. Ideally, in a perfect world, that's 10 years of cost control. That's where 12 and 20 is supremely valuable for a team like the Raiders, because they're hitting the reset button. 12 and 20 ain't valuable for a team like the Cowboys or a team like the Texans or a team like, any team that feels like they're close. In this specific discussion, the proven commodity is much more valuable to you, right? But the last point I want to make on this from Darren is from saved money at wide receiver. Just so we all are clear, the George Pickens contract extension price in years 1 and 2 will be cheaper, significantly so, than the fully guaranteed money that the franchise tag will pay him, on average of $31 million fully guaranteed over the next 2 years. Shouldn't come to that. David Mulligetta certainly tries to prevent it ever coming from that in just 1 year playing on the tag. But all the evidence towards George Pickens and the shoddy saying how much he loves football. Clayton Adams saying how much he loves football. Dak saying how much he loves football. Dak saying, if I have to get involved, I will. Dak saying again today, bet on yourself, and giving George Pickens advice. Either way, you're going to be good. I've been in this situation before. Don't sweat it. Just keep the love of the game that you have. Keep being that same person, that same player that you are. Christian Parker walking into the Cowboys room when they're having the defensive coordinator interviews, right? Looking everybody in the eye and making sure they understand just how serious that is and how difficult they are to defend and prepare for whenever you've got 2 alphas out wide. You're going to leave one of your corners on an island with one of those dudes to load the box to stop the power run game. Javonte Williams behind their interior trio of powerful football players in the power run game that's only going to continue to get more nuanced with Clayton Adams and Brian Schottenheimer leading the pack behind an all-pro caliber quarterback, MVP, Walter Payton, man of the year caliber quarterback. You're going to load the box and leave one of those two aliens on the outside. Superhumans. One-on-one. You're beat. You gonna play single high safeties? You're beat. You're toast. Track meet. Scoreboard. 6. Brandon Aubrey, just keep your seat, brother. We'll go for 2. We'll do this all day. Matter of fact, we'll take the 2. Somebody offer us that tendered second round package. We'll take it. Because that's the ammunition that the Cowboys really need to have this Maxx Crosby deal done already. It would have already been done if they had a second round pick right now. Wink. Yes, it's still possible. I saw that other question here too. It's possible. Cowboys are absolutely still in it. They are still the favorite. They have the most significant and most enticing package if we assume 12 and 20 are potentially in play. It shouldn't come to that, but it might. And if it does, nobody's beating that offer. Because of the reset clock, the cost-controlled assets. 3 first-round draft picks, 2 to pair with the reset button, the first overall pick for Fernando Mendoza. Yeah, that's better than A.J. Brown and a 1. That's better than whatever the other the Bears were hypothetically offering. It was pick 26, a second-round pick this year, and DJ Moore. They didn't like DJ Moore's contract. Don't blame them. No deal. No thanks. Go be a Bill. So yes, Swain, thank you for getting me back on track. If you want to win now, you don't trade back. The Cowboys have already indicated to us so passionately in a variety of ways. Jerry Jones saying that on the bus, talking about red shirts. That, guys, that should tell you right there how loud and how often that discussion is being had. And it's kind of obvious, right? They're in the win it window. They got holes to fill. They're creating a ton of, they're gathering win it now assets like Quinnen Williams and George Pickens, and in the market for guys like Maxx Crosby, and making all these win it now decisions, or soon to be if they haven't already, but some of them they've already done, like the restructures that they've converted. Now, yes, that's partially related to becoming cap compliant just to even do business in the first place when the new league year begins next week. But other parts of it are creating money to go and win it now. And so obviously you don't have time with this 3-year window. Everybody's sort of co-aligning into the 20 through 2028, really, when all these contracts are kind of coming to a close. You don't have time to wait on guys to develop. So once again, that's more confirmation right there. We didn't even talk about yesterday. It was like the Cowboys are telling us, Jerry's telling us on the bus last Friday, with people like John Machota and Nick Harris, and I think maybe Calvin Watkins and 1 or 2 others, and they're recording that hour-long conversation that they had. Jerry's like, listen, those words right there, y'all, I mean, it tells you, it validates what the conversations that we're having here, y'all. 12 and 20 don't mean as much to them if they're getting a guaranteed, proven, perennial all-pro caliber player. What? It's not complicated to me. It's really not. The fact, and this is a good point too, right here from Blee Blue. It gets me back on track too of, okay, the fact, it's worth me mentioning. If nothing else, guys, as much polarization, as much passionate discussion, as much people, I had a dude, the same guy that I referenced earlier, he was questioning my cortisol, my testosterone for my response, where I'm literally just responding to a dude that's like aggressively calling me out for no reason. I'm cordial, man. I'm chilling. But my T and my cortisol gets brought into question. I'm telling you guys, I promise. Look, my blood work, my physique that I work really hard to maintain, And my recent influx of offsprings would strongly suggest all the evidence to the contrary of what you're trying to say. Like, what are you even doing? Why are you yelling at me? I got a good kick out of that, but anyway. Yeah, that's a good point. We do get that twisted a little bit, don't we, Stephen Martins? People think that sacks are the only stat of edge rushers. It's very clearly not. But the run game is increasingly and ever more valuable because I don't need to go down that road again, that rabbit hole. We can get Trey and 2 defenders or just Maxx. Based on what? How? Who are you talking about? Where is this? What is the premise? Like, who are the 2 players and how much are you paying them? How do you know? Trey doesn't have a contract right now. We don't know what it's going to be. You can't, once again, we can't make that declaration and say it's either this or this. It's only Maxx and nothing else, or it's like it's this package or it's this. No, we don't know that right now, guys. The money's not a problem to begin with. Either way, they're going to go and get free agent assets because they have to. Otherwise, they can't draft. They can't have a proper draft. They cannot conduct a proper draft if they don't. One way or another, they are adding a linebacker in free agency. They're going to try to add a safety in free agency. And they're going to look at edges. They're probably going to sign 2 linebackers. Do we have one that we trust right now? Do we have a green dot guy? We have one that we love, but the one that we love ain't healthy either. Or at least he hasn't been to this point in his career. Fingers crossed, man. May the good Lord bless him in that regard moving forward. Need a couple linebackers. And Maxx Crosby, with or without him, does not inhibit the ability to do so at all whatsoever. They're going to do it because they have to. They don't have another choice. The Minka thing is interesting. I don't know what he's going to cost. I don't know if he's going to get cut. There's just a lot of gray area and unknowns right there. But yes, that's the type of guy that you're looking for. That's the type of guy that you're hoping Caleb Downs turns out to be. That's the discussion and the intrigue by Dylan Thieneman at 20. You know, it's that type of versatility, but also the brains and the leadership and the quarterbacking of the secondary from the top down. The way that he sees the field, man, it's such an important and such a critical role to play. But that's a dude that keeps you buttoned up on the back end. The edge from Pittsburgh. We were just so he's talking about Nick Herbig, but we talked about this back before the trade deadline last year, and he's another one of those high motor players, man. That's balls to the wall, much like Maxx Crosby. Slightly lesser in the run department. His frame is pretty substantially. Let's pull him up. I know he's quite a bit smaller as far as length goes than Maxx Crosby is. See Nick Herbig's height and weight. I want to say he's like 6'2", something. Yeah, 6'2", 240. So his length, his frame just doesn't allow him to be as dominant in the run game as Maxx Crosby is. But that's a dude that I would be in on. If you could tell me that was the backup plan and that came to fruition, I would clap for that. Seriously. That's a great call right there from Swain. Reminding me to touch on that. It's a good point. 3 years, yes, big business is with me. 3 years is what we got. Too many things to line up for that time frame. Exactly. Nothing more needs to be said. Bye, Osa. I'll pack your luggage. Okay, Swain is saying first and Osa, and yes. So now this was the reel that I posted yesterday afternoon about 5 o'clock was on this front here. Okay. It was when the news first leaked that the Bears and the Cowboys were the two most significant suitors for the services of Maxx Crosby. We started to think about, okay, potential compensation. Where's the Bears positional surplus? Where's the Cowboys positional surplus? And obviously, D tackle for the Cowboys was their positional surplus. Receiver for the Rams was theirs. Or excuse me, for the Bears was theirs. Okay. But the Cowboys' sake, their position room, their positional surplus at defensive tackle, there's two guys that are ungettable that we know. Just context or context clues, tea leaves and breadcrumbs, right? Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams, obviously, those dudes are untouchable. Osa's the unfortunate odd man out. I'm not lobbying to send him away. I would actually be a little bit upset about that because I do like him, especially when he's not being asked to kind of rotate in and out and command one tech time and trying to eat up double teams and things like that. When he's freed up in a rotational role as a penetrating three tech, he's impactful, man. He's only getting better. Still a young player, coming of age still, right? Learning from behind, learning and repping and playing behind and being in the same film rooms with Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams. That's a beautiful thing if you're a guy by the name of Osa Digizua. But he is a sought-after asset, a tradable commodity. Teams value him, especially at his position, the second most difficult position to find difference-making ability at. D tackle, especially with the offenses getting big again. Really important to be locked up, to have difference-making ability on the interior. So it goes without saying, Osa Digizua is is a player that could, let's just say, get you over the hump to get a deal done. I don't want to see that happen. I hope it doesn't come to that. But if it does, and that's what gets you Maxx Crosby, then it's part of the game. Necessary evil. I had the second lowest ERA when I was pitching for the Brewers my rookie season. I got cut. You know why? Because I didn't throw 100, and they didn't give me $100,000 when I signed. I wasn't highly compensated, and I wasn't a 100-mile-an-hour right-handed arm. There's a right-handed pitchers that are 6'4" and throw 94 are a dime a dozen. There's thousands of me flooding the streets of every state in this country, all across coast to coast. Business is business. It's ugly sometimes, especially in professional sports, especially today. Everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's got sources. It gets ugly. You can publicly pander. You can manipulate the media. You can posture amidst a massive nuclear, soon-to-be, potential trade that's like negotiation that's currently ongoing, right? All these reports, man, it leads me down that line. I'm telling y'all, there's some the Raiders are getting greedy with this. They know that nobody can beat what the Cowboys have on the table. If there were offers that were better than what the Cowboys could have on the table, then why have they not already accepted it? These are the types of questions that are running through my head, right? The Rams can't beat the Cowboys pick at 12 because they have 13 overall. Everybody else that's been reportedly in the mix, Howie Roseman should be considered a dark horse here and should be taken seriously because he always is. But even the Eagles are 4 spots behind the Cowboys at pick 20. Or they have pick 24, if I'm not mistaken. But the Cowboys beat every other potential suitor in a one-off as far as first-round draft picks are concerned. But when you combine this year's twos, the 10 years of cost control, 15 if you count Fernando Mendoza, the reset button that we talked about a minute ago, nobody's touching what the Cowboys could potentially throw at them. Potentially. Once again, not lobbying for it. Would love it if it didn't take both. But if both guarantees me the proven perennial all-pro Maxx Crosby, then it's worth it for a team like Big Business agrees with me on, and he just said 2028's the mark, man. 3 more years. See what you got. It shouldn't take 2 ones, Bobby. I agree. I'm with you, man. Just in case no one has seen the Osa deal, he'll cost you $12 million to trade him right now. He'll cost you $12 million to trade him right now? So you're saying there's dead money? Let me look at that. Let me check real quick. I'll see. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just want to look. I want to give her a gander, you know? I like you, big business. I like you a lot, man. You and I are on the same page a lot. We think along the same lines. We think like general managers think, and I respect. I try to. Personal biases and things of that nature can get in the way sometimes. We're all flawed individuals here. Darren, so yes, if I made you believe in any way that I didn't like Alec Pierce as a player, I didn't mean to do that. That wasn't the intention. The point was, regardless of how good he is, intentionally getting worse to then and thereby re-enter a bidding war at which you couldn't guarantee his services anyways. You don't know how much he wants to come and play for you. You don't know if you would even be able to match what another team would potentially be willing to offer. That's not a situation the Cowboys would willingly place themselves in, and it's just not going to happen. Period. It just is what it is. I love the way you're thinking. That's critical outside the box thinking, and it's not a bad way to look at it. It's just not going to be the case for this set of Cowboys circumstances right now, today. That's all. Hit the like button. Yeah, thank you, Angie, for reminding me. Sometimes I forget to remind you all that. I know it's easy to forget from your side of things as well. So please do so if you haven't already. That's the fastest, the easiest, and the cheapest, because it's free, of course, way to support this platform here. Totally free, worth every penny, as they say. Big Business is saying bingo. I don't know what I said that made you say that, but I appreciate you confirming whatever it was that you agreed with that I said. Oh, well, so what was I going to do? Oh, look it up Osa's contract real quick. Okay, let's pull him up. Let's see, dead money. Overthecap.com, Osa Digizua. Yep, right there. Give me 1 second here. Share the screen with you guys so y'all can see what I'm saying here. Boom. Okay. He's right. So I'm seeing 12 million in dead money if they cut him pre-June 1 today. If they're in post-June 1, obviously that would be a lot less. Yep, 0. Okay. Much less right there in year 1. But look, what happens if you trade? Okay. So if they traded Osa today, pre-June 1, they're eating $16 million in dead money. If they traded in post-June 1, it's only 4. And you get 2 of those post-June 1 designations. That's an interesting thought. So I guess maybe, what does a restructure look like? If they restructured him and he wasn't included in the package, of course, that would be the prerequisite for that decision. But they could clear $12 more million. We discussed that yesterday. I just wanted to refresh. $12 more million of space just by keeping him and restructuring. But to Big Business's point, there is dead money involved, assuming a trade. So worth considering. A pre-June 1. I don't even know if I've ever even considered a pre or post June 1 trade. I've only ever contextualized that through the avenue of cutting a player. That's interesting right there. But yeah, trading Osa Digizua, in theory, does cost you a little bit of money. But somebody said, let me go back here. Watch Hoffman go to Buffalo and play in the Super Bowl next year. That's a funny thought. Hey, 12 TJ Bass and Ryan Flournoy, I'll drive everyone. Okay, so honestly, what? Yeah, that was the soundbite, the animated Joker. You like that one, Seabass? I got you, bro. That's when I'm in my zone and I feel like I'm on something serious. I'm like, hey, I want to make sure y'all hear me. But then I also like to do this one right here. This is a classic. One of the first YouTube videos I ever watched when I was a little kid. This one right here.
What? guys.
That little kid, man. He was serious, wasn't he? That boy was serious. What you talking about Pat Surtain for? Don't be getting my hopes up like that. I respect that Christian Parker connection though. That's funny. Pat Surtain, man, wouldn't that be something? You can get Lloyd, Phillips, and Mack for one max, and keep your picks. Okay. Yes, West Texas Cowboys report. While technically true, no lies detected from a APY, a cap impact perspective. That point of view, valuing, okay, what's Max's money going to cost? He's saying just screw the picks for a second. Just think Maxx is a Cowboy. Here's what the numbers look like. Versus, here's what they could have done with the same amount of money in free agency. Here's the problem. While true, once again, it's important to remember the Cowboys made 5 trades for veteran players last year already. They've already signaled their willingness to dabble in that market more so than the free agent market. We already know how they've operated with their recent historical order of operations. Now you're sitting there thinking, I know, Lando, you've been telling us all year, all offseason, and I have, and it's true. They're going to be aggressive in free agency. Yes. But for this particular discussion, no player that you just mentioned is better or more impactful than Maxx Crosby, the player that they could, in theory, trade for. But speaking specifically to the money, none of those guys can be guaranteed Cowboys in the negotiation process. And we're talking about that's tier 1, most people's linebacker 1 on the open market right now. And Devin Lloyd. Jalen Phillips, that's most people's, I think that's Daniel Jeremiah's, third or fourth overall ranked player in free agency. George Pickens is 2 right now. So you're talking about signing the second ranked free agent and George Pickens, the 4th ranked free agent and Jalen Phillips, and Khalil Mack, a guy that's got like a Hall of Fame resume. I don't know what his market looks like. It's somewhere in the 20s, I imagine. But all those decisions, and as great as that sounds and looks, right? I'm with y'all. Saying Trey Hendrickson, keep 12 and 20, and then still dancing in free agency. Yeah, that's sexy. But Maxx Crosby is the better player, for one. And 2, you don't have to enter into a bidding war or like financial bidding war for those services. Those contract extensions are tough, y'all. So while yes, it's true, it's complicated. And they're already signaling to us. They already have signaled to us. They prefer to dabble in the trade market first if they can help it. The money ultimately doesn't matter, but just willingly walking away from Maxx just because you think you can go and get 3 times the player for a fraction of the price, that's your plan B, right? Maxx is plan A, because that's just, for one, it can happen now. The free agency is not even open yet. But secondly, you're controlling what you can control. The Cowboys directly impact how much they give up to acquire his services. And I guess in some sense that's true from both sides, but you get the point, man. Free agency is it's the Wild West. So it's just not guaranteed, but you got to go get Maxx, or try to get Maxx first, and then you pivot like they already have as of today, right? Hopefully I didn't confuse anybody there. Okay, Kyle, my fault. I see you. Can you give clarity on my question? Let me scroll back up here and find it. Give me a couple seconds here. Remember, like with the way that this chat box has been booming, man, I can't get to every question. I'll do the best that I can, as always, but you guarantee that your question gets answered if obviously the super chat function grants you that. But then uh, members, the membership status is available to you if you're interested. Once again, that doesn't eliminate any content. There's nothing behind a paywall. It's just taking an extra step to support this platform a little bit further if you have the means and the want to do that. But the membership status also guarantees that every single question gets answered, and it also grants you access into the members only private chat room where it's round the clock discussion. You guys holding each other accountable, just having sports below the surface conversations like we're having right here, direct access to me, all those things. I just want to make sure I mention that. But let me go back and find your question. Did we figure out if did we confirm that, by the way? The frozen first round draft pick for next year? Is that official? I still swear that's a caveat. There's a caveat attached to that, and it can be dealt. But like I said, maybe I learned something today. I don't know. So Swain, why would the Broncos be giving away assets like that though? Why are they selling? That's a team that just won what, 13 games last year? 12 games? $14 games. They had the number 1 seed, did they not? Did they have a bye in round 1 of the playoffs last year? They did, didn't they? Am I crazy? Hold on. 2025 NFL season playoff bracket. I swear they had a bye, man. They had a freaking bye. Why are they selling Pat Surtain? Are you just trolling, or what's going on here? Why are they sending the defensive player after a Super Bowl run? Ooh, Bleed Blue. What's Bleed Blue saying? Okay. You can't sit there and honestly say a 30-year-old edge rusher can get injured. Look at Micah not wishing injury, just making a point. You're out 2 number 1 picks. Like, okay. Hold on. Couple things with this. Okay. Great question. Great point. I like it. It's a thought-provoking comment here. Number 1, and I'm not trying to be petty. I'm not trying to be trite. He's not 30 yet. He's 28 years old as of today. That's still a spring chicken in the prime of his career at that position. Not a spring chicken, but he's in his prime. And his prime is going to extend for another couple years. Through 2028. The win-it window that perfectly co-aligns with everybody else that's signed. That's a significant asset to the Cowboys as of this current juncture. But he's saying you can't honestly sit there and say that a 30-year-old edge rusher can't get injured. Nobody's saying that. Okay. But you can't also honestly say that, especially with the like I see Big Business's point about the knee for Caleb Downs. It's like you can't sit here and tell me that pick 20 is either not going to bust or not going to get hurt either. We don't know. Right? There's unknowns with everything. Right? But scared money don't make money. You're at least trading for a proven commodity. Whereas keeping picks 12 and 20, not only is the injury risk or the injury concern still very, very viable, very plausible, still possible, a definite possibility, but it's also the unknown of what the player will become too. So it's a double whammy of unknowns. Yes, injury is a part of this sport, and it's inevitable. Maxx Crosby is obviously no exception to that. He's hurt as we speak. Moving around just fine, going to be ready for training camp, but still wouldn't be cleared to go and play a football game on an NFL Sunday as of today. So I understand your point. But that's part of my thing is I think we're so quick to dismiss the idea of max versus like just how much trade compensation is too much at this time right now when everybody just sat there and watched the NFL combine. We're all salivating over these prospects and you know, the draft is such a fun it's just such a fun time of year. And we want to be involved in it. And we like having draft pick. I run a dynasty league, or I don't run it, but I participate in one. And everybody was trying to go and win it in 2024. I knew I wasn't going to contend, so I started selling all my premium. I traded DK Metcalf away in my dynasty league. I actually traded Jamar Chase and DK Metcalf in the same year. That was crazy. But I ended up with four 4/12ths of the first round selections in 2025. I had 4 first round draft picks last year that I turned into Tedderell McMillan, Travis Hunter, 2 other rookies, two other rookie running backs. Who were they? Irrelevant. But I had a bunch of other second round picks to go at it too. So I've got like my roster is loaded with projectability. I had a lot of fun having that much ammunition and firepower in the draft. It's like I felt powerful because I had so many darts to throw. But we're 2 years into that, you know, sell the farm and try to build through the draft, and I still don't know if I'm gonna have a competitive team next year. Travis Hunter might be a full-time corner this time, or 7 months from now. I might have wasted a first-round draft pick altogether on a guy that's not even going to catch the football anymore full-time. So there's just so many variables that are unknown with draft picks and such. No one to hold them, no one to fold them. Maxx Crosby dealing. Not parting ways with Pickens. Amen. Say that again. Take it to my grave. What else we got open? I need to roll y'all pretty soon. I didn't anticipate sitting here this long, but we just lost connection there for a second. I'm going to refresh this real quick. It'll take about 10 seconds to make sure that we're still okay. Any other questions that I missed? Yeah. This dude's actively been playing for almost a decade, specifically 7 seasons. He don't miss games. Yeah. Yep. Age the last of our worries. Yeah, man. Like 28-year-old guy right now. I get it. By the time the season starts, he's 29. He's soon to be 30. That number freaks people out. But when you only have like 3 years of prime time, go for it mode, it don't matter. A dude at the peak of his powers in the prime of his career. I think we're missing it. We've missed the boat on that regard. Do have to win in free agency. There's no question about it. They will be active. They will spend. But George Pickens is involved in that aggressive the aggressive nature, right? That George Pickens is factored in there. Extending Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark is aggressive. Trading for Maxx Crosby or Trey Hendrickson is very aggressive. It's not a plethora of aggressiveness. It's not going and getting 5 tier 1 dudes. It's not getting the best at each position. Like no team can do that. It's just not possible. You don't, it's not the way it works. You can't out negotiate everybody for all the best players. It just don't work that way. Not everybody wants to come play for you. You can't pay the same amount of money that other teams are always willing to pay. It's fluid, y'all. It's not only about us getting Maxx on our team, but keeping him from joining a team like the A. So listen, I gave the like 41. Hey, I see you, man. Thank you. Thank you, Bleed Blue. So that's why I think that was my second to last tweet from today. I don't know if I've ever sent so many tweets, posted so much on X. If that triggers any of you guys for me calling it a tweet, I'll always call it a tweet. But I'll try to appease both sides of that discussion because I know some people get triggered by that, which is once again, it's just funny to me. We waste energy getting mad over things that mean nothing. What's going on here? Okay. There's a few other posts in here that I've saved that I wanted to talk about that I haven't gotten to yet. Let me just see. Okay. Where are we at though? Maybe that was a response. I don't even know what else I was getting at. That's how I know it's time to sign off. Lost my train of thought. Can't get back on track. How do y'all think the league feels about Ryan Flournoy? Just genuine question for the panel. I know how I feel about him. I know how the Cowboys feel about him. They consider him a pro's pro already. A dude that really shouldn't even be where he's at today. You understand his journey. And how do we feel about this hypothetical? Does this make y'all feel better from Brandon Laurie? I said now we get nasty with it in response, but it's oh, I actually just noticed that was a future second. Okay, that changes things a little bit. No. I'm sorry. Okay, yes, I was right. All right, so hypothetical Cowboys trade. This one right here. Y'all tell me what you think of this one. Does this change your feelings at all for those of you who are so adamantly against? And I realize in this particular community here, not most of you guys are kind of, you teeter towards my angle. But I'm curious if you're one of the ones in this chat right now who says, absolutely not, no way, no how, not now, not ever, no way. Not my chair, not my problem. If you know, you know on that one. Little inside joke from back in the day. If you're absolute no on 12 and 20 for Maxx, does 12, 20 in next year's 2 for Maxx and pick 36 overall change your mind? Curious. What do you guys think? Mike Evans? What are we talking about adding other outside receivers for? Ooh. Okay. Interesting. Big business. I think that's probably pretty close, I would say. Cowboys fans obviously feel better about Ryan Flournoy than most teams would at this current juncture, but it's probably fair. 16 teams see him as as a NFL average or maybe slightly better. I don't know. It's called a league average, a replacement level number 2 complementary wide receiver to an alpha X. I think that's probably fair. Half the league would see him as such. The other half would bury him in special teams, relegate him to special teams services only. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So cool. I mean, I'm not surprised to see Cowboys fans more in favor, more optimistic about him. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be. I'm not saying that I'm not. I'm just genuinely asking. I think that's fair. 88 potential to be a wide receiver too. Not quite there yet, but maybe some ceiling in that regard. Sure, I think that's fair. Dude plays without the football. He's as selfless as they get, and as we know about just listening to the football people in the building, players, coaches, otherwise, to tell you about how professional he is with his approach. His professionalism is profound. And that's a great point, man. West Coast, or excuse me, West Texas Cowboys. In case CD or George gets hurt. And that's the thing. That was my initial response to the pushback against keeping George Pickens around. Okay, so you trade away George Pickens. You intentionally get worse. What happens if CeeDee Lamb gets hurt then? Now all of a sudden Ryan Flournoy is your number one. We all just agreed here, as much as Cowboys Nation loves Ryan Flournoy, his story, his effort on the field, especially as a run blocker, his continued growth as a receiver, his impact in the absence of a CeeDee Lamb as a number two to George Pickens, all promising. But even we, who know all these things about him, who know how the coaching staff feels about him, glowing rave reviews, ownership as well, none of us are sitting here suggesting that he's a number one alpha dog in this league. So there was that was a fun topic there for a little bit. 20 Steele and Osa for Maxx. That's another interesting thing, is that they have already indicated to us they don't want to touch the offensive side of the football. They don't want to replace Terrence Steele because they don't feel great about Nate Thomas. Remember, my first breakdown, because people were last year, it was a popular topic about, let's see what Nate Thomas has at left tackle, and let's move Tyler Guyton back to right tackle to replace, to solve the Terrence Steele problem. Two huge issues with that, one of which is the fact that Tyler Guyton is better today already, and he's played left tackle twice as long as he ever played right tackle. Only a full-time football player for 5 years now, only a full-time offensive lineman for going on 3. Okay? That's the biggest, the most senseless issue or argument in that topic. But the other one, the less obvious one, the more below the surface data point, was we went back and we watched all the reps that we could gather up from Nate Thomas. And while he is strong, and while we do like maybe the potential ceiling that he could provide, the first thing that we noticed and that we talked about on this very platform right here was strong player, looks the part, but when he strikes, especially in the run game, as big as he is, where power should be the way that he wins, his feet stop moving. He's got real heavy feet. And I was concerned about that, just like up front, just saying, screw Tyler Guyton, he's never going to make it, which he obviously is. He's obviously trending in the right direction. If he can freaking stay healthy, we'd have more evidence to prove that. That look in his eye that we saw, man, that we unpacked, the psychology behind his conviction in his voice and the look on his face when he's sitting there talking about how he gets it. Now he's starting to get it. It's starting to make sense. He's like, his rare athleticism and length are starting to be paired up with grown man body and professionalism in the process. He's coming of age at the position that he's only played for going on 3.5 years now. Just draft Styles or Anthony Hill in round 1, and I'll be satisfied. Both those guys make your team better, I would say. Considering right now there's not a green dot guy that anybody feels confident in for the Cowboys. Y'all, I hate to say it, but it's late. already after midnight. I got to get up out of here. I got to get some sleep, especially after last night staying up till 2:30. But this was a fun one. And that's probably a fair point too. I like that comp actually. That makes sense in my head. Makes a lot of sense in my head. Let's see how this stuff shakes out though. Lando Show, Sports Below the Surface Truth for you guys, the true fan. Thank you guys for being here. Tell a friend where to find objective, nuanced Cowboys discussions where we always aim to tell the truth first. Okay. Circumventing what's so common and so rampant with fake takes, sports media, mainstream media, and outlets from people who just simply are tasked with knowing a lot or a little bit about a lot that they can't possibly know a lot about the little things that we like to talk about here. Little things that make a big difference, that matter very much. Right? And you guys are all the evidence that I need to prove how valuable this type of stuff is, to prove how valuable that we are, our community, new media, etc. This stuff is important. And our voice is heard. Clearly, people think that we're a threat around here. And I say we just because you guys are me. But man, I'm met with so much like from big people that I used to look up to. Kind of approach me with a level of a standoffish nature. People that haven't met me in person, who have massive platforms, who are in this same industry, in this specific niche, but apparently I'm a threat. I don't know if it's their insecurity. I don't know if it's a flawed perception of something that I've ever said or done. If that's the case, then I would truly apologize, and I'd be the first one to admit it and try to make right by it. But my process, man, I don't have time to make anybody mad. I don't even hardly have enough free time for me. My free time ain't free. I stay in my lane. So I don't know how that could be possible, but I assume, there's a lot of things that I say that can get taken out of context. And so it's certainly possible, especially, like I said, I haven't met anybody in person yet. But people are paying attention to what we do here. And you guys make that possible for me. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart, sincerely, thank you. Maybe so, Angie. I don't know if that's the case or not. I honestly don't. I really don't know. And I hope that's not the case because that's not how this should be. That's not the way this is supposed to be. We're supposed to disagree at times. We're supposed to hold each other accountable at times. We're supposed to do the best that we can to piece together and creatively convey the truth about this team from our own perspective, in our own unique and creative way. Rising tide raises all boats. That's the way I see it. That's why I go and have a conversation with boss, even though I disagree. That's why Gavin Dawson's about to come on this platform, hopefully in the next day or two before I go out of town on Monday and talk about his side of things. I've had disagreements before in the past with AOC, but that's a dude that absolutely always stands on business. He's not scared to call you out. He's not scared to say what he believes is his truth. He's not scared to expose anybody. He don't care how you feel. He's a elite level entertainer, but he's 100% objectively and always him. Unapologetically. He's him. And I respect that so much. That is lost on today's in today's world where it's common to post the best version of ourselves. Right? Like that's what Instagram. That's how it started. But it was just pictures. Right? Everything's edited. Everything's AI. Everything is not authentic anymore. It's rare these days. And AOC is one of those authentic people. He's not for everybody. He'll be the first one to admit that. But he's him. He's comfortable being him. And it works for him. And I respect that so much. That's how this is supposed to work. We're supposed to work, put our heads together, team up, and eradicate sources like, from mainstream sources that are routinely irresponsible. I feel an obligation for that. That's what drives me. That's why this platform exists to begin with. So, man, if I ever rubbed anybody the wrong way, if anybody out there is one of the ones that feels that way, and trust me, there's a few of them that I'm surprised by, that I know for a fact feel certain type of way, and I don't know what I did, but just know that it was never intentional, and that I'm willing to. I would love to have a conversation to sort this thing out, because we're better when we work together. That's all I know. Uh, but we're gonna stay in our lane as we always do. Keep running our race, man. And I know that everything is going to work out. The good Lord's going to take care of us one way or another. Salute to everybody in here, especially you, tired ass Cowboys fan. I see you, man. Your name is the very definition and embodies completely, perfectly encapsulates the way that I feel right now. I need to go to bed, man. This is a lot. It's been a lot of fun, but it's a lot of emotion, a lot of different discussion today. All right, y'all. Be good. Remember, prayer changes things and the war is already won. I'll talk to you guys hopefully tomorrow. Stay tuned.